Hello, I'm Mark Engel with Association Management Center. Today's April 24th, and we're here with Jerry Jacobs. Jerry is the Pillsbury Law Firm's nonprofit organization practice leader. He's also been general counsel for ASAE, and he's the author of a dozen books in nonprofit law, including what all of us should have at our desk side, Association Law Handbook, which is now in its 6th edition. Jerry is widely recognized as an expert in governance and legal matters for nonprofit organizations. My suspicion is that you had a great hand in redrafting the ASAE bylaws, which I believe are 6 pages long. And
correct.
What I always
have no member voting rights, which is not often understood.
Say what? I'm sorry?
It has no member voting rights.
Exactly. The structure of ASAE bylaws, I've always thought, are very empowering to the board because they're a framework. They're not a detail. It's
Yep.
not all about structure as it is about the ability for the board to delegate authority to other bodies within the organization to get work done, as opposed to this tight sense of control.
Yep. We like to see bylaws list only 2 or 3 standing committees, executive committee, maybe finance, auditing, and investment, maybe governance and nominations, and then just say, the board may appoint committees, task forces, and other groups as needed.
Yeah. And does that liberate you in times like today with this pandemic? The board has the ultimate authority, but can delegate that authority as opposed to the membership power, a House of Delegates, or some other structure in the governance system of an association.
Absolutely, but you can go too far. There are organizations that have dozens of committees, and how are you going to manage those dozens of committees meeting in the current climate? So we're seeing some organizations kind of strip down and consolidate the committee structure too, because it's so hard to manage when you have to do everything by video or audio these days.
Yeah, yeah. It's all about setting priorities, I guess, huh?
Yep.
Good. Excellent. Okay.
There's a question you didn't ask, and that is, what if the bylaws require a quarterly board meeting? Or what if the bylaws require that the board must approve this or that? What if the bylaws require that there be in-person board meetings? Some do. And the answer to that seems to be easy if the board has authority to amend the bylaws. If the board has authority to amend the bylaws, we take the position, I don't know if there's any cases on it, that if the board has authority to amend the bylaws, the board must have authority to suspend or waive the bylaws, especially if it's a situation that's not impinging on member voting rights. So if the bylaws require a quarterly in-person meeting of the board, but the board has authority to amend the bylaws, that's easy. At the first board meeting, you have a vote to suspend that provision of the board, of the bylaws temporarily until COVID-19 is resolved.
Excellent. Good.
Now, if the bylaws require that the members approve bylaws changes, you've got a bigger problem. You're not going to, in a large organization, you're not going to get the members together to approve that sort of thing. Our position is if it's really impractical to honor the board provision, like an in-person board meeting held quarterly, and the bylaws can't be changed because it requires a member vote to do it, and we have 20,000 members, then I don't think you're taking a significant risk by suspending that provision of the bylaws temporarily because of COVID-19 on what we're all becoming familiar with, the force majeure rationale.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we have the duty of care, which is reasonable, prudent activity. Good. Okay. So my last question for you is, in these last several weeks in our environment that we're living in today, what kind of encouragement can you offer our association leadership?
I'm overwhelmingly encouraged by how well things have gone, by how well associations are responding in a universal work from home mode. We hear dogs barking, kids crying, doors slamming, and at client meetings, the sort of thing that would be that some would view with horror previously as just not mannerly. in this context. And yet, you know what? The work seems to get done.
Yeah.
I have to assume productivity drops. I have to assume that the inability to walk down the hall or get 4 or 5 senior staff members together to come up with a consensus answer to an emergency issue is reduced. But you know, is productivity dropping 50%? I don't think so. And we're all learning. What we already did. We all did stuff in phone conferences and less frequently video conferences. But we're all learning that it's not so bad, and we better get used to it. Dr. Fauci said the other night he thinks this is going to be around through the fall. So.
A long year, isn't it?
So I'm impressed and I'm encouraged by how well associations are doing. I'm less encouraged by how well restaurants or barbershops are doing. But associations are in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, that's encouraging. So, well, Jerry, I want to thank you. I enjoy our time together. I always learn from you and enjoy your friendship. So,
my pleasure. Good luck. Stay healthy.